you think a $65 million plane was too much, if they discover that there's life on Mars, they gonna need to hear the gospel, and I'm gonna have to believe God for $1 billion space shuttle because we got to preach the gospel on Mars.
Once celebrated as a beacon of faith and financial breakthrough, Pastor Creflo Dollar's story has taken a sharp and unsettling turn. From humble beginnings and meteoric rise to international fame, his once unshakable empire is now overshadowed by scandals, personal turmoil, and a shocking reversal of core teachings. What happens when a preacher who built his ministry on promises of prosperity suddenly admits he was wrong all along? As the lavish lifestyle clashes with mounting criticism and legal troubles surface, the man behind the message faces questions no sermon can easily answer. The rise from humble beginnings. Creflo Augustus. Dollar Jr.'s journey started far from the mega-churches and luxury he now embodies. Born in College Park, Georgia, he grew up in a modest household shaped by discipline and faith. His father served as a police officer, and his mother worked in the cafeteria of Kathleen Mitchell Elementary School, the very place where Dollar would later launch his ministry. His early dreams were not of preaching, but of playing professional football, a goal derailed by a serious injury during college. That unexpected setback forced Dollar into a period of searching, leading him to attend Bible study sessions initially just to fill his time. But during this quiet phase, he experienced what he called being born again, a defining spiritual awakening that changed his life's trajectory. Soon, he was leading small Bible study groups that grew faster than he anticipated. Among those early attendees was Taffy Bolton, who would become both his wife and partner in ministry, grounding his mission in family and faith. By 1984, Dollar had graduated with a degree in educational therapy and began working with individuals facing learning challenges. Yet, despite success and aptitude, the pull toward ministry intensified. In 1986, he founded World Changers Ministries Christian Center in the humble setting of the same elementary school cafeteria where his mother once served meals and where he had been part of the school's first Black integration group. The first service was intimate, attended by only 8 people, but his message quickly found resonance. Dollar preached a simple, confident message that tapped into practical faith and hope, capturing the hearts of more and more listeners. As his congregation grew, so did his ambition. From those modest beginnings, World Changers soon transformed into one of America's largest megachurches. Behind this meteoric rise was a message that would come to define him and set the stage for both his global fame and looming controversies. The introduction created fundamental importance because Dollar's gospel directly addressed individuals who wanted to experience life-changing breakthroughs. The combination of optimistic beliefs and actual success results from faith created his success beyond his local business area. The fast expansion of his religious organization provided motivation for others to witness his growing impact, which created a new trend. The process of expansion created hidden tensions, which waited to be discovered throughout the entire organization. Dollar established his international ministry through these starting points, which established a worldwide audience. The former football aspirant who became a spiritual leader created a mystical experience because his life story showed his development into a divine calling. His message began to spread while people started to analyze his teachings. The initial division between faith and fortune and accountability began to take root through this process. Dollar started his career through a series of unexpected events which show how success can come from unexpected paths. His success testing started when he reached his first point of achievement. The world would soon recognize him as the man who used to stand in a school cafeteria. The true story had not reached its conclusion because all upcoming challenges would assess his entire construction work. The movement started from a tiny beginning, developed into a powerful force, which raised doubts about the expenses and results of its power increase. The next chapter of Dollar's life would focus on the gospel which powered his empire and the new followers it attracted. The message that launched the ministry was about to become its most controversial legacy: building an empire on prosperity. The doctrine that defined Creflo Dollar's global influence was the prosperity gospel, a teaching that faith, positive confession, and generous giving would unlock financial abundance and success. Throughout the late 1980s and 1990s, Dollar refined this message, turning it into the centerpiece of his ministry and a beacon of hope for many struggling families. To those yearning for change, his words promised a divine strategy to break free from financial hardship. By 1991, his church had grown so significantly that he renamed it World Changers Church International, embodying the worldwide reach he believed God had entrusted to him. His message quickly expanded beyond local gatherings, moving into radio and television broadcasts that would become staples in millions of living rooms. The show Changing Your World brought his teachings to a diverse and international audience hungry for breakthroughs. This new platform catapulted Dollar into the ranks of international televangelists, with his influence stretching across Africa, Canada, India, the United Kingdom, and beyond. Believers everywhere took heart in his promise that miracles of financial and personal transformation were within reach. With this growth came increased ambition, symbolized by the completion in 1995 of the massive World Dome, an 8,500-seat sanctuary built at a cost nearing $20 million. Dollar proudly claimed the World Dome was constructed without bank financing, crediting faith and giving as the driving forces behind the project. By the mid-2000s, attendance at World Changers Church International exceeded 30,000 members, and the ministry reported annual revenues close to $70 million. Expansion continued to cities like New York, Los Angeles, Toronto, Johannesburg, Houston, and Australia's Gold Coast, fueling a vision of 500 fellowship churches worldwide. The prosperity gospel attracted followers because it combined spiritual belief with actual benefits, which people believed would bring them God's favor through their financial donations. The message provided many people with both hope and strength to handle their life situations. The program created a foundation for criticism when people started asking questions about the financial transactions and distribution of funds. The promise of abundance became common knowledge because Dollar's personal wealth established a public discussion foundation. The prosperity message gained popularity for Dollar, yet faced opposition from people who disagreed with it. Critics challenged whether the focus on accumulating wealth was compatible with spiritual leadership, especially as Dollar's income and lifestyle grew. For supporters, he was living proof that faith produced abundance. For skeptics, the differences between Dollar's extravagant lifestyle and his followers' ordinary lives created doubts about his genuine nature and his ability to answer to them. Dollar pursued his holy purpose to establish a spiritual empire, which grew from his religious instruction. His ministry achieved greater success, while its foundation turned more unstable. The prosperity gospel served as his main asset, which transformed into his major weakness that would cause a major crisis to destroy his entire empire. As Dollar's financial and theological power grew, he lost control of their financial and theological structure. When those cracks finally widened, the spotlight on his lifestyle became unavoidable. Wealth, luxury, and growing criticism. As Creflo Dollar's ministry and net worth multiplied, so did the scrutiny of his personal lifestyle, an opulence rarely seen even among prosperity gospel pastors. While many in his congregation lived on modest means, the average household in College Park earned around $29,000 annually. In stark contrast, Dollar owned a $3.4 million estate in Fayetteville, Georgia, sprawling across 182 acres and featuring a grand fountain, pool, extensive stone walls, and a private gated driveway. This estate became a symbol of both his success and his growing separation from the people he preached to. In addition, Dollar owned a luxurious high-rise condominium in New York City's Time Warner Center, purchased for $2.5 million and later sold for $3.75 million, netting a $1 million profit. A second home in New Jersey, valued at over $2 million, added to his real estate portfolio. His garage was reportedly home to multiple Rolls-Royces, including at least one priced around $460,000. To critics, These assets were blatant signs of extravagance and distance from the humble origins of his message. To Dollar and his supporters, they were visible proof of God's blessing and reward for faithfulness. His means of transportation reflected his scale of ambition as well. Long before the infamous jet controversy, he operated a Gulfstream G3 aircraft, an aging plane that had experienced mechanical failures, including one engine malfunction over the Pacific Ocean and a nose gear collapse on a London takeoff. Dollar insisted that commercial airlines did not align with his ministry schedule, claiming the private jet was a necessity rather than a luxury. However, each display of wealth, homes, cars, planes, slowly chipped away at the credibility of his message in the eyes of many observers. Watchdog organizations like Ministry Watch repeatedly assigned his ministry an F rating for financial transparency, citing the refusal to disclose audited financial records. Between 2007 and 2011, the United States Senate Finance Committee investigated Dollar alongside 5 other televangelists, focusing on whether ministry funds were improperly used for personal gain. Dollar resisted requests to hand over financial documents, arguing that the government had no jurisdiction over his records. While no legal charges followed, the reputational damage was significant and lasting. The public began to see a pattern, an accumulation of wealth without the accountability expected of religious leaders, and spiritual authority exercised without transparency. This growing skepticism set the stage for one of Dollar's most infamous controversies that would further erode trust and deepen divides within the Christian community and beyond. The contrast between a pastor preaching prosperity and accumulating staggering personal wealth created a tension that was impossible to ignore. It became increasingly clear that the man behind the message was becoming the message itself, a symbol both celebrated and criticized. Dollar's wealth and luxury lifestyles spotlighted questions about faith, responsibility, and authenticity that would soon explode into public scandal. The $65 million jet controversy. By 2015, Creflo Dollar's life of luxury had already attracted scrutiny, but nothing ignited public outrage quite like Project G650. The campaign sought donations to purchase a Gulfstream G650 private jet priced at an astounding $65 million. Dollar insisted this was not a desire for extravagance, but a necessity for ministry work, claiming his older plane had suffered dangerous mechanical failures and that commercial airlines didn't operate on God's schedule. He asked followers to contribute a minimum of $300 each, aiming for 200,000 donors. Almost immediately, the fundraising effort sparked fierce criticism. Aviation experts quickly pointed out contradictions in Dollar's claims, particularly the ministry's assertion that the jet could transport 100,000 pounds of food and supplies for humanitarian efforts. In reality, the G650's baggage capacity was only about 2,500 pounds, far short of what was advertised. Critics questioned why a pastor needed the most expensive private jet in the world instead of a more practical option. The backlash came not only from secular media, but also within Christian circles. Gospel artist Kirk Franklin publicly criticized the campaign, arguing that equating material wealth with faith was a sign of spiritual failure rather than success. Social media lit up with debates, and many longtime supporters expressed confusion or disappointment. The fundraising page was quietly taken down within days, but the damage to Dollar's reputation had been done. Dollar refused to back down despite the public protest. In his sermon after the controversy, he made his declaration about God when he said, "If I want to believe God for a $65 million plane, you cannot stop me. My dreaming will continue until Jesus comes back." The church audience showed their approval of his statement, which created a strong contrast with the public's developing anger. The Dollar ministry faced 2 opposing groups, which included his dedicated followers and people who increasingly doubted his work. The jet controversy renewed the U.S. Senate Finance Committee's earlier investigations into televangelists' financial disclosure and accountability problems. Dollar obtained private jets through different methods, but his public image suffered permanent damage from the scandal. The situation developed into an embodiment of everything critics feared because it showed a pastor whose financial success seemed to increase along with his religious faith. The reaction to Project G650 reached a critical moment because it showed how Dollar's extravagant lifestyle created a gap between him and his followers who experienced financial difficulties. The story changed from one showing spiritual empowerment to one which questioned the ethical standards and main concerns of prosperity preachers. The Dollar ministry needed to address the increasing public doubt which affected its mission. The incident demonstrated how people who acquire too much without control create distrust, which endangers Dollar's entire power system. As public faith in his ministry wavered, more personal struggles began to surface, painting a more complicated picture of the man behind the message. Legal troubles and family fallout. For years, Creflo Dollar seemed untouchable, commanding a global audience and embodying spiritual authority. But in June 2012, his world dramatically shifted when he was arrested at his home in Fayette County, Georgia. The arrest stemmed from allegations raised by his 15-year-old daughter following a heated argument. She accused Dollar of physical abuse, including choking, wrestling her to the ground, punching, and hitting her with a shoe. Police reports noted a scratch on the daughter's neck, which she attributed to the altercation. Dollar, however, denied the most serious claims, attributing the injury to eczema and asserting that he had only restrained her after she struck him first. He did admit to wrestling her to the floor, but denied choking or punching. The incident quickly went viral, casting a harsh spotlight on a man who preached discipline and order. Being handcuffed and charged with simple battery and cruelty to children sharply contradicted Dollar's carefully cultivated public image. The arrest thrust him into a maelstrom of criticism and scrutiny, forcing his congregation and followers to grapple with disturbing questions about his personal and spiritual conduct. Though Dollar called the allegations exaggerated and claimed victimhood to media distortion, the episode fractured his reputation. Within days, Dollar appeared before his congregation to address the scandal. The church erupted in applause, many viewing him as misunderstood and unfairly targeted. Supporters defended the right of parents to discipline their children, while critics argued that boundaries had been crossed and that religious leaders were too often shielded from accountability. The court case ended when Dollar completed his required anger management program after all the charges against him were dropped. The incident created enduring effects, which reached both the church and all its external environments. All church members who remained dedicated to their faith practiced their belief in God, but they needed to hide their doubts about the difficulties which existed beyond the public image of their leader. The arrest showed more than a family emergency because it revealed human weakness which existed under the protective shield of Dollar's developed empire. Questions about character and integrity, which had previously been unimportant, now occupied main stage. His ministry suffered a permanent loss, which destroyed all his false beliefs and revealed the actual story about his ministry work. His financial difficulties and public backlash had reached their peak when his personal problems began. The pastor who used to show strong confidence now walked a dangerous path, which displayed his inner uncertainties, and his relationship with people had suffered harm. Yet the hardest blow was still to come, one that would forever alter how millions viewed the message and man who once promised unshakable prosperity. The shocking reversal on tithing. In June 2022, Creflo Dollar shocked his followers by publicly reversing one of the teachings that had defined his ministry for decades. During a sermon at World Changers Church International, he admitted that his longtime message about tithing was wrong. He even urged supporters to throw away his old books, DVDs, and sermons on the subject, sending shockwaves through the Christian world. Dollar explained that tithing belonged to Old Testament law and should not be treated as a requirement for Christians living under grace. He stated that people should give their donations through two ways, which should come from their generous spirit and their belief in God. The previous teachings, which required followers to donate 10% of their earnings in return for financial blessings, were completely abandoned by this new practice. The prosperity empire, which Dollar built through his message, stayed with him for many years until it made him one of the richest pastors in America. The reversal he made brought about complex issues which emerged from his decision. His followers gave up their money because they thought his teachings would bring them divine blessings. The critics of the ministry asserted that it operated on incorrect theological principles, and they doubted whether any funds would ever be refunded. Some people praised Dollar because he acknowledged his error, while others believed he should have made his admission much earlier. His luxurious way of life, which included his ownership of expensive properties and cars and private jets, stayed the same, which created more criticism from both watchdog organizations and former supporters. Dollar defended himself by saying his earlier teachings were part of a spiritual journey that eventually led him to a new understanding. The damage to his reputation happened when he first started his work. The man who once preached guaranteed prosperity now faced growing doubts, controversy, and a complete re-evaluation of his legacy. Creflo Dollar's story is a powerful lesson in faith, ambition, and accountability. From a humble start to global fame, his ministry's rise and fall reveal the complexity behind prosperity preaching. As Dollar's teachings and choices face unprecedented challenges, the questions about faith and finances remain urgent. If this story moved you, please like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into stories that shape our world. And don't leave yet. Another eye-opening story is waiting for you on the screen right now, and what it uncovers may surprise you even more.